Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of the sexual abuse conversation. Warning, it is going to be still trigger warning. So this is how it's going to be. I've got some things on my phone that are, have a little bit more information and advice and just words, about how to deal with sexual abuse, what it means, what it indicates, what it involves, stuff like that. Last video we ended on psychological, and I just wanted to finish off with psychological and then move on. So, sorry, it's my husband talking. He scared me. Um, but sexual abuse can cause, children to suck their thumb. They can, and it sometimes causes them to wet their bed, acting out, you know, for me, I sucked my thumb. It was just sort of like self-comforting. In fact, I did that until I was 14 years old, and I am right now 17. So it took a while, to learn that hey, just to feel self-comforting, I don't just always have to be sucking my thumb. I wasn't someone who wetted my bed. I just sucked my thumb. Victims can withdraw from doing any school activities, any activities in general, social activities, and it can even include behavior problems, including cruelty to animals. Now, when it comes to cruelty with animals, you can't always control it. With me, I can. I do get the feeling sometimes, I've got 4 cats, 2 dogs, a bunch of chickens, I live in a little hobby farm, and there were times that the cats would piss me off so much that I just want to strangle them or throw them against the wall. But when I get the feeling that urge, I will go to my mom or to someone and be like, "Can you keep these animals away from me? This is how I'm feeling. I don't want to do it. I just need to be by myself, no animals, nothing, and just calm down." And usually within an hour or two, or sometimes a day or two, I'm fine. Because in the past I have hurt animals on purpose, and I still to this day regret it so badly, and I punish myself for it all the time. And I keep trying to remind myself that it's it was in the past. You can't change it. You can't go back. You just gotta move on. So I've been doing that. ADHD. Now I have to do searching up on ADHD because my little brother has ADHD. It's called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and I have a feeling I have it too. I've never been diagnosed with it, but I believe I do have it. Conduct disorder. It can cause, if you're old enough to where, for like the women, when they've hit puberty and past puberty, sometimes, a lot of times, the women end up being pregnant. And half the women don't like it because they don't like the fact that they got pregnant because of being raped or just molested or something. They want to have a child knowing that they were treated right, that they made this baby or this child out of love. But to know that it was made out of force and nothing good, sometimes a lot of women are like, I won't raise this child because I don't want them to grow up knowing that, hey, you were made like this, stuff like that. So there's a whole bunch of that. Also, child sexual abuse victims report almost 4 times as many incidents of self-harming. I am a self-harmer. There are times I still self-harm. I used to be an ex-suicide person. I still have thoughts, once in a while, but I haven't acted on it for quite some time, a couple years now. I still struggle really badly with self-harming. I still get a lot of urges. I still, want to. The last time I did it was in July. So, gotta be careful with that. Like I said, when it came to self-harming, there's a suicidal line I will put down there, a suicide, sexual abuse hotline I'll put down there, so if you ever guys need to reach out, all that stuff. Now, something on my phone that I'm actually gonna read out, and um, it's like a little diagram of sexual abuse stuff. So it says the diagram is called Association of Childhood Sex Abuse with Drug Dependence and Psychiatric Disorders in Adult Women. Now there's red, blue, or dark blue, yellow, light blue, and green. So it's a ratio. So it's drug dependence for any sexual abuse is 3.9 out of 6. Alcohol dependence for any sexual abuse 2.80. 2 or more disorders 2.58. It just comes to show that there's a lot more than just being a victim, or hey, I got trauma. Like, no, there's way more to it than you would think. Among now the and also I'll put down a National Institute Drug Abuse hotline down below too, in case anyone is going through that. But it also mentions that among more than 1,400 adult females, childhood sexual abuse was associated with increased likelihood of drug dependence, alcohol, and psychiatric disorders. A lot of women or men, mainly women, that you see doing drugs, getting drunk all the time, sleeping around, just all this stuff, it's usually due to a trauma in the past, and usually it's got to do with sexual trauma in the past. Now, there are women from trauma that are hypersexual and hyposexual. Hypersexual is when you crave any sexual attention, kissing, touching, sex, just hyposexual is, someone who wants nothing to do with anything sexual, kissing, touching, sex, just nothing. They want nothing to do with it. They don't even want to see it, look at it, hear it, just nothing like that. I was very hypersexual. But I was able to force myself to wait for any sexual intercourse or anything like that until I met my husband. Because I always knew that I wanted my first time to be, with the right guy because of my past. Thankfully, I chose the right guy, So there's that. And it mentions that there are 2.83 times more likely that child abuse in childhood are more likely to suffer drug dependence as adults than were women who were not abused. So it mentions that women who do that, it's due to having sexual abuse. I'm trying to think. It mentions various of sexual abuse include crime and suicide. Males who are sexually abused as children more frequently appear in the criminal justice system than in the clinical mental health setting. They're more likely to act out violently than physically and sexually. There are patterns and symptoms that have not been identified yet. But studies have shown that 51% to 79% of sexually abused children exhibit psychological symptoms. The level of harm may be affected by various factors, such as penetration, duration, and frequency of abuse, and the use of force. The social stigma of child sexual abuse may compound psychological harm to children. The outcomes are less likely for abused children who have supportive family environments. So now we've got all that, I want to talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Um, it's child abuse. It could be any abuse, physical, verbally, mentally, sexually, all kinds of all that. It can include sexual abuse, especially chronic abuse starting at early ages. For me, like it was 5 years old. Um, it's it's got a development of high level of dissociative symptoms, which includes amnesia for memories of the abuse. Um, it can include amnesia. Um, it can um, I'm trying to think. It mentions how PTSD is associated with a high risk of substance abuse of any kind, whether it's self-medication, hypnosis, or the high risk um, and susceptibility hypothesis. Um, I'm trying to think. While we do that, I'm gonna stop here for today. There's gonna be a part 3. Like and subscribe this video and stay tuned for part 3 of this sexual appearance. Thanks, bye.